Hey everyone, Rarity Dash here. Time for another Patreon-sponsored blind reaction. And this one comes to you courtesy of Will, who has requested that I react to the Castlevania Timeline Part 4, the End of Dracula Button Smash by GamerthumbTV. So, yeah, this should complete the timeline. This is the last one. Been doing these timeline videos for a while, and we're finally at the end of the story. And, yeah, this, I imagine, will cover both Aria and Dawn of Sorrow, and I think that's pretty much it. I mean, there may be something I'm forgetting, like last time, there were a couple games, like on the N64, that I knew nothing about. But I'm pretty sure this time that it's just going to be Soma. And I guess Julius, you gotta talk about the actual setup for these two games before you get into them. But, yeah, I don't think there's going to be much else. So that's still a lot to talk about, even if it is just two games, because those are some of the more lore-heavy Castlevania games out there. And, yeah, you do got to talk about Julius. You do got to talk about all this other stuff and where all the characters are and how it all connects. And it's it's a lot. And these are actually some of my favorite Castlevania games. I mean, I probably don't like them as much as I like the classics like Symphony of the Night, but they're still just really fun, well-made games, and interesting. Just immediately different because of the more modern characters and stuff, and everything going on there. But it's yeah, it's cool. And yeah, the big twist of Soma actually being Dracula, which is going to be said in the video. So even though it is a big spoiler, if you're watching this, I I assume you already know that, or I mean, you're going to be learning it very shortly, so whatever. But yeah, reincarnation of Dracula is your main character. That was a pretty cool thing. That was pretty cool to learn back in the day. And yeah, just interested to go through this all again and kind of relive the story. So let's... oh, before I get to it, though, since I know there might be some questions, since this is a Castlevania-related video, yes, I am aware that Castlevania Season 3 came out, and yes, I do plan to watch it. It just might be a little bit, because it's got to be in that Saturday slot, and currently I got She-Ra there, and I got to get through that, and I think after that I may actually do Steven Universe Future in the slot first, because I've already started that. And I don't think I can just do it like I was planning. I kind of fell behind, and now new episodes are coming out on top of the 6 that I never got to. So at this point, I think the best course of action here with my current limited recording window is to just wait and do it as a slotted series on Saturday and get through it then. Which I know it means more waiting for stuff like Castlevania, but I think that's just how it has to be for now. Though I am looking forward to Season 3. I've heard some good things about it, and definitely excited to get to that eventually. Anyway, that's enough said. Let's go ahead and get this started. Here we go. GamerthumbTV. Button Smash.
Welcome to the Castlevania Timeline, Part 4, The End of Dracula. In Part 3, we saw the Belmont clan powerless to stand against Dracula, as new heroes rose up to keep the powers of darkness at bay, ending with Jonathan Morris restoring the vampire killer to its former glory, and lifting the curse placed on the Belmont bloodline.
Setting things up
After
for
Jonathan
Julius
destroyed Dracula, he searched the world in an attempt to track down the direct descendants of the Belmont clan, and return the fully powered vampire killer to its original owners. Jonathan searched for the Belmonts throughout the decades, and in the late 1980s and now in his early 60s, Jonathan tracked them down. The Belmonts knew the time would come where they would have to reclaim their responsibility, and the youngest member of the Belmont clan was a child named Julius Belmont. Jonathan stayed with them and took Julius under his wing, training the boy and teaching him everything he knew about the vampire killer and Dracula. All the way through his teenage years.
It is kind of an 80s look.
Fulfilled his duties, Jonathan left the Belmonts
like
and lived out
legitimately
the rest of his days in peace. Dracula's son Alucard was also very active at this time, having discovered a prophecy that claimed Dracula would return with his full power at the end of the century and plunge the world into darkness once again, at an apocalyptic level. The prophecy also mentioned the eastern lands of Japan, and determined to be prepared for his father's return, Alucard traveled to Japan.
Yeah, this is when we actually take it
to
Japan.
Aria and using the resources he had gathered over the centuries, Alucard helped found a
Japanese series
organization
and
hidden from the public, which kept track of supernatural
first time we go to
threats.
Japan.
The date of the prophecy was fast approaching, and using his position within the organization, he worked to gather the bloodlines who've opposed Dracula through the centuries. Alucard located the Belnades clan alive and well, descended from Sypha, and recruited them along with their magical gifts. He also found the Belmont
And wouldn't that
clan,
mean they're
with the
descended
now
from
fully
Trevor,
trained
too?
Julius Belmont wielding the vampire.
Never quite got that.
Alucard prepared the now 19-year-old vampire hunter to face Dracula, and this takes us to the year 1999.
Not really sure why that's so
and
separate.
the events of the Demon Castle War. The details of this time period have never been fully revealed, but the prophecy of Dracula's return came true, and a massive solar eclipse appeared, covering much of the Earth in darkness. Dracula returned and regained his full power, as foretold, unleashing his forces on the entire planet, causing destruction on a massive scale. Dracula's attack on mankind was much worse than Alucard had expected, but instead of cowering in fear, the world fought back. The armies of the world came together as one, and a united humanity pushed Dracula's forces back city by city, while Julius Belmont and the Belnades clan stormed the area surrounding Dracula's castle, and Alucard began searching for a way to end his father's threat permanently. In Japan, he found a group of monks known as the Hakuba clan, who practiced powerful magic said to be strong enough to control gods, and Alucard realized
also,
their power
the
could put an
moon!
end to his father. Dracula's power
Sorry for the delay
was
there.
directly tied to his castle. If the Hakuba clan could sever the connection between Dracula and his castle, Dracula would
probably
be
should before
unable
that,
to
too.
return to life. Taking the priest of the Hakuba clan
Still
with him
asleep,
to
I
Europe,
guess.
Alucard found Julius engaged in a final confrontation with Dracula and told the priest to use their magic on the castle. While the battle raged on, the priest performed a ritual, and Dracula's castle was sealed inside of the eclipse, cutting Dracula off from the vehicle of his resurrection. And Julius, with the vampire killer, destroyed the Dark Lord, and the eclipse vanished with Castlevania inside of it. Dracula's threat had finally been ended, ending the events of the Demon Castle War. After the battle, Alucard returned to his organization and kept a watchful eye on the world. Although Dracula was gone, he knew others may try and take his place. During his fight with Dracula, Julius had suffered a severe head injury and began losing his memories. After awakening in the hospital, Julius realized he had lost his identity and wandered different countries trying to find himself again. During the late 2020s, Alucard met a powerful witch from the Belnades clan called Yoko Belnades, and he recruited
Gotta
her
love
to the
Yoko.
organization, becoming his closest associate. A couple of years later, a
Definite
foreign
wife
exchange
material
student
there.
named Soma Cruz was studying abroad in Japan and became close friends with a girl named Mina Hakuba, the daughter of the head priest of the Hakuba shrine, who had helped seal away Dracula's castle. Eventually, they developed feelings for each other and decided to head to the shrine together to watch the upcoming solar eclipse. As the eclipse appeared, both Soma and Mina blacked out and awakened to find themselves in a mysterious castle, Dracula's castle. This takes us to the year 2035 and the events of Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. After waking
Into
up
the
in the
future
castle,
we go.
Soma found Alucard, still in the guise of Genya Arikado. Alucard explained to Soma that they were inside the eclipse, where the castle was sealed away 36 years before, and questioned what the young man was doing there. Suddenly, they were attacked by monsters, and Soma protected a terrified Mina from the attack. Then somehow absorbed the soul of the monster he had just destroyed. He had no idea what had just happened to him, and Alucard told Soma that he had the ability to absorb the souls of monsters and use their powers. Soma questioned why he would have such a power, and Alucard told him that he would need to reach the Master's Chamber in the castle to find answers. Alucard promised to watch over Mina as Soma made his way into the castle to discover the truth behind his powers.
Yeah. Gotta explore the castle. Can't have a game without that. Look at that easy first boss.
But But Soma wasn't alone in the castle.
Oh, yeah.
Several others had also made their way in when it appeared inside the eclipse. He ran into a friendly yet mysterious man named Graham Jones. Graham was the leader of a religious cult, and he preached that there was more to the prophecy of Dracula's return in 1999. Graham told Soma that part of the prophecy mentioned new master would arise and inherits Dracula's dark powers in 2035. Soma also met Alucard's assistant, Yoko Belnades, and Yoko told Soma that Alucard had sent her in the castle to help him. She revealed that Soma's powers came from darkness, and his powers could rule over monsters, commanding them to bend to his will. And she also gave him a warning about Graham Jones, believing that he is the man destined to inherit Dracula's power. And Yoko went off to find him. A soldier in the United States military called Hammer also made his way inside under the orders of the American government to avoid a repeat of the Demon Castle War. But Hammer was actually thinking of leaving the military and decided to open up his own weapon shop and help Soma by selling him various items he had found. After exploring more of the castle and entering the dance hall, Soma met Julius Belmont, who entered the castle in the hopes of restoring his lost memories. He introduced himself as Mr. J and could sense the dark powers coming from the young man, questioning where they came from. With no answers, both men separated and continued their journey.
Big golem. No kidding. Oh yeah. Don't you hate when that happens? Replace the head with another head.
Running into Graham again, Soma questioned his motives, and Graham revealed that he was born the moment Dracula was destroyed, and he believed himself to be Dracula reborn. He
Not quite.
Soma exactly what he had the ability to do, and when Soma revealed that he can control monsters, Graham refused to believe it, panicking and rushing to the castle throne room. As Soma chased him, he ran into Death, who was sealed away inside the castle in 1999.
Still got Death. Interesting one where you fight the scythe. Then you... okay. Two forms.
Destroying Death, Soma absorbed his soul, and now had the ability to use his powers. And finally tracking down Graham, Soma found him, plunging a knife into Yoko. Once Graham noticed him, he fled. Yoko told Soma that Graham had absorbed much of the castle's power and had become extremely powerful. Alucard appeared and told Soma that he would make sure Yoko was okay, and ordered him to go to the castle throne room. But Soma demanded to know what was really going on and why he had to go to the throne room, but Alucard refused to say anything more. After defeating a giant imprisoned in the castle called Balor, Soma found Julius again, with his memories flooding back to him. And remembering that he was the man who had destroyed Dracula, Julius knew he had to find out if Graham was attempting to inherit the vampire's power. Soma made his way to the castle throne room and found a crazed Graham waiting for him. The boy wanted nothing more than to leave the castle with Mina and the friends he had made along the way, but Graham was furious that Soma was able to absorb the powers of the monsters he encountered. In Graham's mind, Soma had committed the crime of theft against him and attacked.
Yeah. This guy even fighting like Dracula. Gotta love that giant sword, too.
After summoning a demon to help him, Graham's powers were still not enough to destroy Soma, and Graham realized that he in fact was not Dracula. After his defeat, a huge flow of dark energy appeared and entered Soma's body, and Soma finally realized a horrifying truth. He was Dracula. Entering the throne room, Alucard revealed that Dracula's soul and Soma were one. The vampire spirit was extremely weak from his destruction, and Soma was able to develop his own personality over the years, without his previous form taking over. Soma had been taken to the castle because it was calling to its old master, and Soma struggled to keep the darkness within him under control. Alucard told him that the dark powers would continue flowing into him, and eventually he would become Dracula once again. But Soma refused to let that happen, and Alucard knew they had very little time left. When Dracula originally created Castlevania, he didn't build a normal castle. It was a spiritual
Obviously
realm,
not.
tapping the power of multiple dimensions and realities. The source of the castle's dark influence was the power of chaos itself, which kept the castle alive and was the link connecting Dracula to it. But only Dracula could enter the realm where chaos was located, and Soma was the only one that can face it. Unsure of what would happen, Soma went to go see Mina one last time before heading to the realm of chaos. But along the way, Julius Belmont stopped Soma, and realizing that the young man was in fact Dracula. Soma tried to tell the vampire hunter that he was still himself, and not wanting to take a risk, Julius attacked him.
Kind of a nice reversal on the usual battle. Even using the Dracula fireballs there.
But Julius held back, sensing that Soma's spirit was fighting against the darkness trying to take over. Soma told Julius that he was going to stop this from happening and made the vampire hunter promise to destroy him if he failed and became Dracula. Soma traveled to the chaotic realm and stood face to face against chaos, the very essence of Dracula's castle and the source of his dark powers.
There we go. Gotta have multiple forms.
Soma obliterated chaos, cutting off Castlevania's power source. Not only was the castle sealed away within the eclipse, now it was completely destroyed and powerless to ever return,
And
along
yet
with its
there's a
master.
sequel.
His newfound friends had helped pull him from the brink of being taken over, and Soma woke up back in the Hakuba shrine, with the eclipse disappearing and Mina holding him. Soma felt his powers leaving him and stood by Mina, looking forward to the future and living his life on his own terms. A year later, Soma and Mina had become even closer and were spending time together in their local town.
Major-
This brings us to the year 2036.
Major art
the
style
events
shift
of
there.
Castlevania, Dawn of Sorrow.
Now we're in
Mina
anime.
told him that she had a bad feeling inside of her, and suddenly a woman appeared looking for Soma, who called herself Celia Fortner. Celia summoned several monsters and ordered them to attack Soma, as Alucard appeared and threw him a weapon to use. Celia threatened that one day she would take Soma's life, and escaped. Confused as to why he was able to absorb the soul of monsters again, Soma asked Alucard what was going on, and Alucard let him know that his powers had never left him. He simply had no need to use them, so they became dormant. He also revealed that Celia was the head priestess of a new and rapidly growing
Of course you
cult
gotta collect all
that
the
his
souls again.
organization had kept under surveillance. Although Dracula was dead, the cult's mission was to bring forth another Lord of Darkness to take his place.
Of
They
course.
believed that a new Dark Lord was necessary to bring balance
Everyone
to the
wants
world.
that.
Furious that Soma had resisted his reawakening as Dracula the year before, the cult was determined to eliminate him and make way for a replacement. Worried that the cult would harm Soma, Alucard told him to stay out of the situation. But Soma refused and felt it was his responsibility to help, and sought the help of Hammer, who was now ex-military. Hammer gave Soma the location of the cult's base, and several days later, Soma made his way there, finding the area filled with monsters.
Big graphical improvement, though, going from the GBA to the... Or not the... Yeah, it is GBA to DS, right?
After exploring the cult's base, Soma ran into two of his old friends, Julius and Yoko, who Alucard had sent there to find out exactly what the cult's plans were. Yoko warned Soma to be careful, and Julius also let him know that if the darkness were to draw him in, and he lost himself, he would be forced to destroy him with the vampire killer. Soma understood, but Celia had put Mina in danger, and he was determined to act against the cult. Julius entered their base through the main entrance, and Yoko left with Soma to find another way in. After fighting off one of the cult's summoned monsters, Soma and Yoko found a safe place where Yoko could report her findings to Julius. And Hammer also decided to set up shop at a nearby house in order to help Soma and make some money along the way. Then Soma set off to one of the base's entrances.
Gotta have cats. Oh. It's a big pig man.
Soma found Celia with two men who were part of the cult, Dario and Dimitri. Celia had chosen them as the two candidates who would potentially inherit Dracula's power.
I barely remember this game, actually.
At the moment that Dracula was destroyed.
First one left a much bigger impression.
But only one man could be chosen, and he would have to get rid of Soma, shattering Dracula's soul, before becoming the new Lord of Darkness. Celia told Soma to meet her at the top of the base if he wished to stop her, and escaped. Soma ran into Dimitri performing a ritual with a demon in order to increase his powers, and determined to wipe out Soma and become the new Dark Lord, Dimitri attacked him.
Gotta love a good Cthulhu demon. Oh. He's got the cat skill too.
Defeating Dimitri, Soma told him that he would spare his life, and Dimitri became furious that he was being pitied. Mysteriously, the man collapsed and died, and his soul flew into Soma. Confused as to why he was able to absorb a human soul, Soma continued on searching for Dario. He found Dario waiting for him, and Dario celebrated Dimitri's death. In his mind, that simply meant less competition, and Dario desired nothing more than to gain power. But even with Dario's mighty powers, Soma still bested him, and Celia appeared, transporting him away, before she could lose her last candidate, taunting Soma to meet them in the uppermost floor of the base. And while exploring the castle base some more, Alucard, having kept Soma under observation, tracked him down, and angrily told him that he should never have gotten involved. Accepting that Soma would never back down, Alucard handed him a letter from Mina, and then he asked Soma what he had discovered about the cult's plans. Then Alucard left to help Soma track down Dario and put an end to this madness.
Oh. That thing's cool. Oh yeah, I kind of remember this. The Falling, yeah. Gotta work in the whole DS stylus there.
Celia appeared in front of Soma, letting him know that Dario had fused with a fire demon, maximizing his powers. Then Alucard and Julius both appeared, and Julius yelled at Soma to back away. Feeling a huge surge of energy, Alucard told Julius to go to the source of the massive energy spike and warn Soma to let them take care of the situation. But once again, Soma felt he had the responsibility of keeping the powers of darkness from returning, and found Julius wounded from fighting the now much more powerful Dario. Dario escaped once again, and Julius decided to accept Soma's help and stayed back while Soma continued on. Eventually, Soma made his way to the top floor when Dario was waiting for him, out of control and possessed by a fire demon.
The mirror effect was cool. So is this demon. Oh. Barely survived there, 2 HP.
Having defeated both Dark Lord candidates, Celia told Soma there was more than one way to create a Dark Lord, and told him to find her in the middle of the base if he wanted to end this. Reaching Celia's location, Soma discovered her ultimate plan to bring about the darkness within him. She had captured Mina and killed her right in front of him.
Yeah, that,
Dracula had suffered a similar loss with his first love Elizabetha and later his wife Lisa. Celia wanted to recreate the circumstances that created Dracula within Soma, and Soma lost control, filled with rage, and his dark powers began consuming him. But Alucard rushed in and revealed that Mina was safe. The one in front of Soma was a fake doppelganger
Yeah, I didn't think
created
she
by
died.
Celia, and Soma was able to push away the darkness. At that moment, Dmitri revealed himself to be alive, having hidden inside Soma and learning how to copy his powers. Celia and Dmitri teleported away together in an effort to get Dmitri as powered up as possible before eliminating Soma. And Alucard and Soma found Dmitri having sacrificed his own master Celia to a powerful demon, granting Dmitri full control over it. But the power was too much for the man to control, and all of the demons that he had absorbed within his journey exploded out of his body, killing him and fusing into one enormous beast.
Yeah, that's huge. That's crazy. Now this is a boss fight. Again, 4 HP, cutting it close.
After destroying the creature, its many souls flew into Soma, and he resisted their dark influence, escaping with Alucard and watching the cult's castle collapse. Alucard told Soma that perhaps one day a new Dark Lord would rise again to threaten the world, but he was confident that it wouldn't be Soma, and Soma joined his friends who helped him resist the darkness. The last cult inspired by Dracula's evil had been destroyed. Castlevania was powerless to ever return, and Dracula's soul had finally found redemption within Soma Cruz, allowing the boy to live a normal life. And the power of the vampire killer slowly faded, no longer needed. Sarah's soul, who had been sacrificed to create the whip hundreds of years before, finally could rest. And the sacrifices of the heroes who had stood up for humanity time and time again,
I like that we're bringing it
led
back
to
around.
this moment in which humanity could finally live in peace. This concludes the history of the original Castlevania series, and the struggles of the Belmont clan. Join me next time when we look through some of the remakes and side stories
Okay, I
of the
guess
Castlevania
there is still one left
out of the timeline, and I announce a surprise video.
Remakes and side stories. And there are quite a few of those stuff that doesn't actually fit in the timeline. So, makes sense. But that's the actual timeline that we completed. And, yeah, it was good going through this again. I mean, Sorrow, definitely one of my favorite games. Dawn of Sorrow, I guess, not so much, because I remembered very little of that story. The villains did not make an impression on me. And, yeah, of the DS era, I think I definitely actually have much stronger and perhaps fonder memories of Portrait of Ruin and definitely Order of Ecclesia, which is for sure my favorite of that era. So, I don't know. I thought I really liked it. But maybe it was just more for the gameplay and the visuals in the story. So it does look cool. I mean, especially just comparing it directly to the Aria of Sorrow in terms of graphics. I mean, art style is more debatable. I mean, actually, it's pretty clearly a downgrade going from that gorgeous artwork that had typified the series for so long to just that kind of rather basic anime look. But yeah, in terms of the actual in-game graphics, it's definitely an upgrade. But yeah, I'm honestly surprised that I had basically forgotten entirely who the villains were in that game. And just, I don't know. But I remembered Aria of Sorrow completely. That game was definitely a big game changer. It was, yeah. And it's pretty clear they never intended a sequel. The game kind of made it pretty hard for a sequel to happen. And that's another part of why it probably wasn't as memorable. It just is sort of this tacked on thing in terms of story, and it doesn't really need to be there. But yeah, still still it was fun. I remember enjoying it. And yeah, I enjoyed the series overall. It was good to go through all the Castlevania games and kind of have the full story laid out there from beginning to end. And yeah, it actually works well as a full story. I guess there is some kind of tying into the previous games and just the full story of Dracula. Yeah, I think it was presented well here, and it made for an entertaining series. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the reaction. Let me know if you did, and see you in the next one.